Tom Clark laid under the stone, destined forever to be walked on. Railroad Bill, a ghost on the tracks, a man and a myth with the wind at his back. Alabama scoundrels, wild and free, outlaws roaming from the hills to the sea. Pirates, bandits, and bushwhackers too. History's shadows come into view. Bloody Bob Sims with his prophets war, preaching fire through the devil's door. And Steve Renfro with the sheriff's star. Outlaw justice never strayed far.
Jamie here with Country Diggers. Welcome to the Speakeasy. Today we're going to be going into Alabama Scoundrels, Outlaws, Pirates, Bandits, and Bushwhackers by Kelly Kazek and Will Elrick. Today we will be talking about the notorious Bart Thrasher, thieving, destruction, robbery, and death. So stay tuned. All right. On the night of September 15th, 1896, citizens of Alabama breathed a collective sigh of relief as words circulated that one of the most heinous outlaws in the state's short history had been killed the previous night, ending a streak of vengeance murders that shocked the state. That outlaw's name was Bart Thrasher, and word of his death was national news, reaching newspapers as far away as Eustis, New York. Little is known about the early life of the man who would become the notorious Bart Thrasher. His death certificate indicates that he was born in 1869, but does not list a specific date. Records show that he was the eldest of 6 children born to John Emerson Thrasher and Ruth Jane Vining Thrasher. History indicates that Bart Thrasher was a typical child growing up in the post-war Reconstruction South at the time when abject poverty of citizens led more than one young man to turn to the gun to make a living. Thrasher's name was associated with some of the most notable outlaws in the state of Alabama, Doc Panther, and brothers Jim and Jack Morrison, to just name a few. After the so-called King of the Outlaws, Rube Burrow, was killed in 1890. We'll go into him in another video, Rube Burrow. Alabamians declared that Bart Thrasher had taken Rube's place as the most vicious and wanted outlaw alive. Over the next 6 years, this sentiment proved to be true. Thrasher and various gang members became the most feared men in Bibb County, Alabama, which was given the moniker Bloody Bibb because it felt to many like the Wild West gangs of outlaws and bandits roamed freely, stealing cattle, cotton, and valuables, and killing anyone who got in their way. At the same time, the county was growing, particularly West Blockton, thanks to the Blockton mines controlled by the Tennessee Coal, Iron, and Railroad Company. As at its peak, the town of West Blockton boasted a population of 12,000 people. Thrasher had been arrested multiple times in the early 1890s and had escaped twice from penitentiaries. One of the escapes was made with a friend, Jim Morrison, another famous outlaw. Not long after, in 1895, Morrison was ambushed and killed by Jefferson County Sheriff Henry Cole. News of Morrison's death upset Thrasher, who swore vengeance on the deputies who killed his friend. In 1895, Thrasher was recaptured near Horse Creek, Alabama, and was sentenced to do hard time in the Pratt mines, a common labor-intensive punishment of the day. Together with 9 other men, Thrasher used dynamite to blast a hole in a mine wall to escape through an adjacent mine. 6 of the men were soon rounded up by a sheriff's posse, but 4 of the men, including Thrasher, remained at large. It did not take long for Thrasher to return to his illegal exploits, as reported by the Marietta Daily Leader on January 2nd, 1896. Bart Thrasher, the notorious Bibb County outlaw, who with 6 other convicts recently broke out of the Pratt Mines Penitentiary and, overpowering the guards, escaped, turned up at Horse Creek with an unknown pal, and had a night of robbing and murdering. Ben Adair and a farmer named Jones, while returning home, were held up by Thrasher and his pal, who wore masks and carried pistols. Jones threw up his hand when commanded to do so, but Adair resisted when Thrasher shot him dead. The living and dead were then robbed. An hour later, the Outlaws held up Watchman Davis at Ivy Mines and secured his cash and watch. Later on, they robbed 2 miners near Victor Mines and concluded by robbing 2 others at May Ellen Mines. The watchman saw Thrasher remove the mask from his face and recognized him. The people around Horse Creek are greatly excited over the night's events, and a strong posse, heavily armed, are searching for the desperados who are in hiding in the mountains and swear they will not be taken alive. After Adair is the 3rd man Thrasher has killed. For the murder of a Bibb County farmer 7 years ago, he served a term in prison. Last spring, he killed a Negro at Horse Creek, for which murder he was serving a 10-year sentence when he escaped. Thrasher is a pal of the late Jim Morrison, the Bibb County outlaw, who was killed last summer by Deputy Sheriff Cole after having escaped from the penitentiary, and is the most desperate criminal in Alabama. He has escaped from prison 3 times, and twice, when recaptured, had been shot before he could be secured. Not long after the escapades, on January 21st, 1896, Bibb County Sheriff M.J. Latham and Deputy Cole formed a posse after receiving information about Thrasher's travels. The posse hid in the bushes along the road where Thrasher was supposed to pass and waited for the outlaw. It was not long before a man on horseback with a Winchester rifle slung over his back appeared on the road. As he passed the hidden men, the posse emerged from the bushes, and Latham and Cole ordered the man to throw up his hands. The man reached for his gun, and members of the posse fired several shots, killing the man thought to be Bart Thrasher. Once the dust cleared and the lawmen were able to look at the body, they discovered that it was not Bart Thrasher. The dead man was Bart's brother, Elijah Emerson Thrasher, known as Leash Thrasher, who was also a wanted outlaw. The news of his brother's death devastated an already unstable Thrasher, and once again he swore vengeance on the lawmen responsible. In late August 1896, Thrasher began carrying out his threats of vengeance. He and another man rode into the town of West Blockton, found Griffin Bass, and shot him dead in the street in front of Harvey's drugstore. Bass was the town's first police officer and had been part of the posse that killed Lee Thrasher. After gunning down Bass, Thrasher and his partner went to the homes of various lawmen in the posse and pinned notes to their pillows, telling each they were next. Thrasher's threats frightened the citizens of Bibb County and the lawmen who were called upon to protect them. Thrasher had already killed more than a dozen men, and now he was threatening law officers in their homes. He needed to be stopped. Several posses were formed, but Thrasher seemed to stay one step ahead of them and recruited more men to ride with him. Cole, who many called the bravest law officer in Alabama, again came to help after Thrasher was spotted near Calera, where he brashly told people to report his whereabouts to the lawmen. Cole obtained information on Thrasher's possible route of travel, and along with another deputy, waited under a bridge for the outlaw to pass. Once Thrasher and his partner were on the bridge, Cole stepped out and ordered the men to throw up their hands. When they did not, the two deputies opened fire on the criminals, killing them. This time, one of the dead men was indeed identified as the notorious Bart Thrasher. The man riding with him was identified as Doc Panther, another wanted Bibb County outlaw. The man, referred to in some newspaper accounts as the most desperate outlaw in the state, would commit no more crimes. The death of Thrasher and Panther marked the 17th and 18th kills for Cole during his law enforcement career, which gave residents some hope that peace had finally come to bloody Bibb County. By the time of his death, Bart Thrasher was a household name in Alabama, after he and his gang of outlaws had spent 15 years cutting a path of thievery, destruction, robbery, and death, through the area. The span marked more than half of the young outlaw's life. Hope you enjoyed that. Robbery, death, and murder, I'd say. Yep. But hope you enjoyed that, and see you back soon.